All right. Take it away, Debbie.
Okay, everybody. Well, I'm great to hear this. Great to be here. And Brian, I'm so glad that you announced their names. I was a teacher for 25 years before I went into real estate. And the one thing I always botched up was my students' names. I said them wrong. So I'm glad that you put it out there. So welcome everybody to ICONversations. We're going to hear from some great agents that are icons. I'm proud and honored to be on the stage with them. And so let's start with Diane. Maybe each one of you can just give, listen, we're all realtors, we're all icons, and we all like to talk. So let's just give a real short version of who we are, where we came from, where we are now, and just a small blip. So Diane, we'll start with you.
Hi, sorry about that. My mic was off.
Okay.
I'm Diane Cardano-Casaccio. I'm from Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, and I run a team. I've mostly been in business for about 30 years. I've done thousands of transactions. I'm mostly a listing agent, so I mostly do listings, and I work a lot with past clients. I'm about 95% a buyer referral only, and that's and I love my clients, and I'm building a tribe of clients right now, so it's really cool. So that's me.
Okay, great. David, how about you?
Sure. No, absolutely. So my name is Dave Cadoon. I am from Lloydminster, Alberta, small city of about 35,000, right on the bordering two provinces, Alberta and Saskatchewan, so I'm licensed both ways. I've been in real estate for 8 years. Prior to that, I was a police officer. I'm part of a domestic team, myself and my wife, and business is great. There's definitely no downturn.
Okay, wonderful. Christine?
Hello, everyone. I'm Christine Andreasen, and I run a team of 15 agents in Seattle, Washington. We actually cover all of Western Washington state. I've been in real estate for over 20 years, and I have been with EXP, I think, about 3.5 years. Been an icon every year, and best move I ever made. I was with KW for 10 years prior to jumping over to EXP 3.5 years ago, and I think about 112 people in my organization right now. So that's my jam this year, is really building my organization here at EXP.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of us followed the same route. And Michael, how about you? Michael is also not only an icon, but he's one of my fellow success coaches. Take it away, Michael.
Thanks, Debbie. Mike Wiseman. I am based in Maine. I have a team up here. It's growing. It's recently adding probably 16 licenses right now. 4 or 5 of those are brand new agents. We run pretty close to 100 sides a year, 85 to 100, about mid 20 million in volume. Like Debbie said, I'm also a certified success coach, and we coach and train all over the country with that. About half of the business that we do comes in from generated off of a lot of Google local search, Google optimization. So we're very big on automations, and the other half is very active prospecting and cross referrals. And we're also focusing on RevShare this year, big time as well. So that's a huge part of my figures, about 30 my organization, and growing every day.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so I have a bunch of different questions, and so what I thought I'd start out with one, and see where that goes to. So, Michael, how about we start with you? What do you think differentiates yourself from the other agents that are out there?
What way?
You tell me.
Okay.
What makes you different?
I can tell you this. I just had a conversation with an agent that reached out to me, someone I'd spoken to a little while back, about joining both our team and EXP. And there's about 5,000 agents in my MLS. Half of them will do no production. So I think being right off the bat, being very clear about what you want to accomplish when you get into real estate. And in my coachings and trainings, I break it down to a very simple formula where I will say that success in real estate, though it could be applied to a lot of things, but success is equal to your actions times skills. And I always use a multiplier for actions times skills, because actions we can measure. You can have a coaching call, or I can have a consultation, and we can come back a week later and they can say, what are the actions that we decided to take to get into enough conversations to have enough potential business. And that's measurable. And then skills we could always improve. And that becomes a force multiplier. So the more we improve our skills, our constant learning and our constant improvement in every facet of being a good agent and being a good business person will enhance the actions exponentially. So those that are willing to really focus on those two things, take the actions every day, measure the actions, then decide which skills will be a force multiplier in those actions, is what makes those that are going to be successful versus those that never seem to show up with production. And my favorite saying is, if you come back a week later and you say something's not working, expireds don't work, FSBOs don't work, PPC, internet leads don't work, I say, perfect, show me your work. Show me how many people said no to you this week. Show me the work. And that's it. So if you can show the work, you'll get the results.
That's great. Yeah, that seems to always be the biggest results, not reasons. This doesn't work. Maybe it's you're the one that's not working. So yeah, that was great. Thank you. How about you, Diane?
Well, the question was, what makes me different?
What do you think makes you different than other agents?
Well, being in the business for 30 years, because that's kind of different and still really strong. But I think what really makes this different is the client tribe and community that I've built over 30 years. Where in a market like now, where the internet's kind of stealing our leads, it's that a person that goes to a friend of one of my clients. They're not going. They might go on the internet, but my clients they're like little raving fans all around. Just tell them, hey, you can do that, but you at least talk to Diane and look it up online. I give them links and things like that. So right now, in a slow time where people are really slow, I'm still staying steady. And I think that difference is what makes us different, is that we've actually kept in touch with our clients after the sale. We have parties and Thanksgiving Pie Day, and we're having a 30th annual client party at the movies, showing John Wick and Shazam next Saturday. And, we have 300 or 400 people show up at our parties. And I don't think many agents have that. So when an agent wants to join us, I have about 10 in my group. I'm not going into rev share right now. I'm kind of just growing our stuff. I think that when they came to us, everyone who's been with me has been with me for over 12 years or more, because of the business that keeps coming from them to them from referral. So I think that's a little bit different. I hear a lot of people, out there looking for Zillow leads and YouTube, and I've got all that going too. But I think that it's not our main focus. Like, I wake up every day thinking, how can I make it better for my clients so they can help me? How can they share me better? Like, I always think about how can they not keep me a secret and share their friends with me, and how to get shared. So that's kind of what makes me a little different.
Great, thank you. David, how about you?
For me, I think here's two parts. The first one has been exposure. Granted, like I said, I was a producer previously, but moving into this aspect of the community in real estate was completely different. So although I did have a few people that knew me from my previous career, I was pretty much brand new. So it was always about advertising. And that's how I've taken my business. Even when I made the transition from my previous brokerage to EXP, it was exposure. So people could see, I have print advertising in the local arena. I've got billboards. I do social media. And it's all about those touch points, right? There's always a dispute between 8 to 20 different touch points. So people always think about you. And that's where I've continued to do my investment, and I continue to get new leads. And much like was said previously, people are using the Zillow leads and stuff. I use KV Core. Those cold leads come in, and that's great, but it's my sphere that definitely comes with it. And then the second part would just be follow-up. All those touch points is their follow-up, because if you just do that first message and deal with it that way, you need to have that follow-up with them so that they still remember you. They remember who you are. They remember your face. They see your face everywhere, and they realize that you're the one that is there to help them. So you just always have to be in touch with everyone.
Perfect. Christine, how about you?
Well, first of all, I'm not really much into production, so I really do. My job is to empower my team. And what makes us different, we have a really distinct culture on our team. We're very family. We're very close. We're not a turn and burn team. I've got somebody, and I hate to say it that way. Sorry for saying it that way, but I've got one of my agents on the team has been with me 11 years. I've got 2 agents that have been on the team for over 5 years. I've got lots of agents that have been there a long time, and it's because of the culture that we've created. And much like Diane said, I love what she said about, or I love what you said, Diane, about really just having your attention be on your clients and on the people and on the relationships. We do a lot of events. We do events for agents. We do events for clients. And we all rally. The team all rallies to be there and be there for the people in our lives and be there for the people in our organization. And that's why I exist. I exist to empower my team. And I think that's a distinct role to play in real estate, because a lot of times we're so busy doing so many other things. It's like every man for himself. And it makes us a little bit different on this team because there's a leadership council of 4 people that literally are there to empower the team. And that's the only reason we're there.
Great. Okay, so, I know for many of us, and again, I have to say many of us because all of our markets, are most likely shifting or have started shifting or did start shifting, several months ago. And for some people, they're still, getting a bazillion multiple offers on properties, and others, now things are staying on the market. Let's start with David. What have you done to continue or be more flexible with the shifting market? What changes have you made in your own business?
And see, that's a little bit of a different thing for me because I haven't had to make a change. Where I am, I'm in the middle of oil country. So in 2014, when the oil prices plummeted, it really crippled our economy. And by 2015, the housing market itself was in dire need of help. Ironically, that's exactly when I started in the business. So I've been in a buyer's market mentality for my entire career. We finally started to get almost to the seller's market in April of last year. And then that's when the interest rate started to climb and the demand kind of went down. So I haven't had to change how I've done everything. That's why the marketing, it's always there. And the drive to keep pushing and never give up, because you just never know when that next deal is going to come. That's kind of where we've been sitting. Like, again, I'm in a very rare spot compared to many of the others, especially I'm assuming the other panelists on the stage.
Yeah, I when you were talking, I just was thinking, I have your notes down here that you're from Alberta. I have a number of friends that are from Calgary, and they're all realtors, of course. And it was always amazing to me, some of the people that I coached up there, that your market really goes by oil prices. It's what's happening with the oil up there. I think that's really very interesting. So I guess you would always have to combat that because you never know where the oil prices are going to be, correct?
That's exactly it. Now, there's been some markets like Calgary definitely did take a big hit. But you're right. When the oil prices drop, the demand drops. Now, we've been fortunate. House prices haven't dropped where I am over the last year. They're still holding steady, thankfully. But yeah, granted, if the world went to all electricity, my market would be in severe danger.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. Okay. How about Michael? Why don't we hear from you about what are you doing to combat the shifting market?
So honestly, we're doubling down on everything that's worked in the past and pushing more at it. So we're in also kind of a micro market, I guess, from a little different than Maine in general tends to be a little bit less reactionary, even in the 08, 09 crash. I've only been a license for just over 4 years. I did 2 years at KW and then 2 years here. So I don't have that depth of experience on the retail side. That being said, what we're doing is exactly what's been worked and been building us, for the last 2 years, my 2 years at EXP. So it's just measuring the activities. We're very proactive. So are we going to go after anything that's expired in my state? Absolutely. We're going to pick up and make sure we bring our social media posts and generating inbound traffic from all of our Google campaigns. Absolutely. So it's really just taking a look every year. When I finish the year, I say, well, okay, what worked well? Where did the money come from? What was the ROI spend on each lead source? And if we were to double it this year, what would that look like? And then probably something that we want to focus on more would be, more kind of where Diane had mentioned upon that building the sphere-based business. Having moved to this area 4 years ago and knowing no one, I didn't come with a big sphere or build a big sphere. So I've been building that as we go, so to speak. So we are focusing more on getting business and recurring business and returning business. So I think that would be probably the only real change I'm going to make this year, other than doubling down on what's been working, is to focus more on sphere-based production, more sphere-based marketing, events, virtual or in person, otherwise, that sort of thing.
Okay, great. Christine, how about you? How's your market?
In Seattle, we have a really strong market pretty much no matter what, given all the tech companies here. But we did for sure slow down last June. It's picking back up right away this year. We're back to getting multiple offers, but I did see things sitting on the market a little bit longer for the last 2 quarters of 2022 than I had seen in probably 4 or 5 years. So we just went back to the basics. We hit our databases and we went, all the clients, the past clients that had been perhaps only being invited to events or not touched as much live as we'd like when we were super, super, super busy. When you put a listing on and get 40 offers, it kind of takes you out for that day, right? So now we have the time to go back and really nurture those relationships. So we got back into our databases, got back into throwing extra events and really back to the basics. But we're happy to say this year we are also seeing multiple offers on our listings again, and Seattle stays strong.
Okay, thank you. Diane, how about you?
Well, since the pandemic, I had 3 or 4 additional employees. So then what am I going to do? I actually started hiring people from the Philippines and VAs, and which cut my expenses down probably a couple $100,000. So basically now I'm running a much better margin with the same expenses. So I do radio advertising and I do client advertising. That's basically my 2. I don't do anything much from that. And I just focus on home sellers because that brings buyers. So what I've been doing differently with the home sellers, since I used to have live 4 times a year events at a hotel with breakfast and talk about home seller workshops and all that, nobody would come out because it was COVID. So I had to improvise. And what I did was I started doing them online. And because nobody was able to go out, it was good. It was good traction, so I could keep it going. But then I realized, things are changing. So now I'm doing real estate market updates at a little diner, and there's a little room they have, and doing broadcasting live, and people come to have breakfast with me, and that's been pretty successful by bringing those kind of things. And so I'm just tweaking what I already do best, which is attracting home sellers, and that was the most. And then reducing my expenses. As we're in Philadelphia, outside of Philadelphia here in Montgomery County, and it's like a Quaker state here. We don't really change. We don't fluctuate like everybody else does. We're still getting multiple offers and things like that. And then what I decided to do also is to take a YouTube channel, which all I did was post videos and never did anything with. Now I'm going to start using it to give the share button for the clients with video. So I'm actually almost done I've got about another 20% to do. And I'm going to start posting a playlist for clients to then, hey, here, if they want to buy a house, send them this playlist. If they first-time buyer, this is a first-time buyer playlist, move-up buyer playlist, a downsized seller playlist of videos, what they need to be doing if they're that type of person, so they can pretty much have carte blanche of being like little me's out there, like little robots, raving fan, not robots, but raving fan Diane's out there. In the marketplace and really, getting it out there. So that's a big shift for me because, I've always called my clients, but I doubled down on making the calls, and the calls to people didn't always come to the parties. And it's funny, like yesterday we have a party next week, and I decided I'm going to make these 25 people who I haven't talked to in a while. Like, I know they really want to talk to me. There are people that really never came to parties, things like that. I reached out, and three people signed up for the party because you don't know. they're just because you haven't talked to them, if you just reach out, and like the other person was saying, I do text messaging, I do video text and say, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. Sorry we haven't come in touch, but listen, love to connect with you. Here's have a party coming up. Love to, why don't you bring a friend and let's reconnect. And that's a lot of reconnecting. That's what we're doing. A lot of reconnecting, because you could take your past clients for granted, but now it's like I'm doubling down on that, and also on this YouTube playlist thing. So that's my 2023.
Great. Awesome. These are, I hope you all out in the audience are taking copious notes, because some of these things that these icons are saying are, you just can't get information like this other places. Okay. So this might be a little bit trickier, but if there's, especially, people out there, they're wanting to know, what do I have to do to become an icon? Of course, obviously you have to sell houses, and we all need to know what we have to do that and more of it. So to my panel, and Diane, we'll start with you. What do you think is the one thing that you do that gives you the best ROI?
My best ROI.
Just one thing. Just one thing, though.
Yeah, I was going to say that. As I'm thinking is, I said to think, and my best return on investment is my seller workshops. Sure, and that's.
And what happens during the seller workshops? Where do you hold these? And
there's two pieces of it. One is that because I use the radio to drive people there, so the radio along with that. So I might spend whatever thousands of dollars on radio, and then I get back at least. I'd like to get like to 9 to 12 plus return, times that much times 12 return on my investment, at least 10. So what I do is, what I have done in the past is I've done in a breakfast situation. So those really work. I said, then I went to video, then I went to online, and then now I'm doing monthly at a diner, and I'm bringing guests with me this time, like a lawyer and a mortgage person. So you can watch on Zoom, or you can come and have breakfast. I have room for 20 people for breakfast. So some clients are coming to breakfast. They're coming in and they're doing testimonials. It's like having breakfast with Diane and the team. And so that's been huge, because when I look at my ROI I spend on radio, and I don't really do any other advertising, because Zoom is free and the diner is $500. It's cheap. That's my biggest ROI, just getting people. And also, and this is kind of off subject a little bit, but if you're going to be in real estate and you want to list houses, to me, that's the best thing for me, because I do the best, is you've got to get the listing agent mindset. So along with all I'm doing, everybody I talk to, the country club, anybody I meet who owns a home will be selling their house someday. And that someday, I want it to be with me. So it's like everybody is a future home seller. So don't think about, I need to put food on my table, I need to pay my next car payment. It's like, I'm going to be in business for 5 years, 10 years. Think of it as a long-term thing. And that's what's kept my ROI going on this particular thing called home sellers, is because I think about it as, okay, what do you need to do next year to sell your home? What do you need to do this year to sell your home next year? And I don't think about like, okay, they're not selling right away, bummer. It's like, no, I would have 17 people for next year. So my ROI, the biggest ROI for me is home sellers, and the fact that I'm thinking about it way earlier than you need to think about it for them. So they can tell, wow, that person really, they reached out to me. They came over to my house, told me a few things to do. Well, I'll at least consider when the time comes to sell their home. And that's the biggest ROI, just really getting the mindset you're a listing agent, and everybody owns a home is going to be a home seller someday.
Perfect. David, how about you?
It's kind of like, it's not just, I guess one thing, it's a chain reaction, but if I had to go back to where it starts, video. I was taught just before the pandemic that video was where things were going. And when the pandemic hit, video was all we had. And the investment I put into my videographers, I could definitely do more, but what I do for my market, it's working. It's getting that video out there so people see me, they know who I am. And frankly, it was last month, I was in the doctor's office walking up some stairs, and the guy goes to me, he goes, "Hey Dave, how's it going?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good, how are you?" I had no idea who this guy was. We engaged in a conversation, and it came up that he goes, He goes, I follow you on social media. He goes, I just wanted to say hi. He goes, thanks for what you show us with the homes. And great. So there was a connection right there. But that video goes into social media, into my KV Core, my website, into client referrals. It all starts from there. So when people see the video, whether it's me showing a house, showing buyers a house, showing me at the hockey rink, whether I'm with my daughter when she's playing hockey or when I'm refereeing a hockey game, people start to understand me, know me, who I am. They get to know who I am personally, my family, and then I get to that relationship with them. And I get a lot of clients out of the hockey rink, and it's huge for me because we then have that bond where we have that listing appointment or buyer's appointment. It's as if they already know who I am. So right there, you kind of find what your at is going to be. What your real estate and what. And for me, it's real estate and hockey. Granted, I'm in Canada. It's cold here most of the time. So it's to the point of we need to just make that connection with people, do the investment, not only just with your time, but there is a little bit of money involved, and you will continue to grow. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to keep looking at the long game.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Christine, how about you?
I think my best ROI are the events that we do, really the face-to-face with clients and other agents. So we have a beautiful waterfront office in Seattle, so we do as much as we possibly can there. We have this Saturday, we have an Easter Bunny photo shoot that we invited all of our past clients and all of our warm nurtures to. We have a puppy costume contest that we do at a dog-friendly place, a restaurant here in Seattle, so that everybody in the restaurant gets to also come participate, and that's open to the public. So we get a lot of, so we do events for referrals and past clients where we are events for past clients where we get referrals, but we do events that are public, like the puppy costume contest. And then we do events for agents. So building our organization at EXP, we do TikTok and Tequila Tuesdays, where we teach people about TikTok and how to really build a TikTok real estate business. We do VIP dinners for our favorite VIP clients. We send out VIP gift boxes every quarter with fun things about the season. So a lot of face-to-face, a lot of relationships, a lot of events, a lot of touches. I really like an event because you get probably 5 touches for one event. You get to send them the very first save the date. Then you get to send them the invite. Then you get to call them to make sure they got the invite. Then you get to confirm, and then you get to thank them for being there. Or if they weren't there, no problem, right? Not a problem at all. You just get to call them and tell them you missed them. So I think one event gives you a lot of bang for your buck. And when you're face-to-face with people, no matter what, they're going to talk real estate. So those are my favorite ROI. That's my best ROI, is anything face-to-face.
Wonderful. Michael, how about you? What is your best ROI?
Sure, perfect. Kind of love this question because this is one of the ways we certainly operate our business, looking at where we're spending. So when I think ROI, I think you're going to have an investment there. So by far, what I have seen is the best ROI for our team in production is getting a really good optimization on all your specifically Google local services, your Google Maps profile, and your Google local search. The question of work for a new agent, absolutely it will. That's an event, I'm sorry. But the getting a handle on your Google profiles. So you want to talk about ROI, you can tell them I'm a numbers person. And 2022, directly from that lead source, 43 closed transactions out of 420 or so inbound calls, 10% conversion. Average time to conversion is less than 100 days. ROI is 12x. It's at about 20 grand to earn about 260, actually it's almost 13x, 260 GCI. And that is one lead source. And we replicated that in about 25 markets right now with other agents and teams and whatnot. So if anybody is out there listening, and go get your Google local profile, claim your digital real estate. It's a game changer for those that do. It's still relatively new in the space, and it's an absolute game changer. And we've seen it work over and over and over again. So that's actually what I'm speaking on in Texas. When I go to Texas, on those of you anybody in San Antonio, you'll hear me give a whole class on this for the San Antonio agents at the regional rally on Tuesday this coming week. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
So, earlier I was in another session, and I heard somebody say this, and I thought, oh, you know what, this is a great one. Manage your time, or somebody else will manage it for you. Let's talk about your time and how you manage your time. So, how about Christine? We'll start with you.
Yes, I think you're just asking, like, do I have daily practices that are always first in my calendar, or I'm not quite sure what you're asking us when you say.
I made a statement of, manage your time wisely, otherwise somebody else will manage your time for you. So what do you do to create your routine during the day? How do you spend your time?
Yeah, very good. Okay, that's what I thought you were asking, just double checking. Yeah, okay. I put the big rocks in first. If you've ever seen that demonstration of the rocks where they put the big rocks in, then the little rocks, then the sand, then the water, you could get more and more and more in, but you always got to get your big rocks in first. So I make sure that I have a practice in the morning to take care of myself. I get up, I do my meditation and journaling. I do the Miracle Morning. If anybody hasn't read that book, it's a really easy read and a fabulous, fabulous habit. And then I meet with my team every single morning, and it's a non-negotiable. I have particular things in my calendar. If somebody calls and says, I need you to come do this at 3:00, and there's already something in my calendar at 3:00 that I gave my word to with somebody else, I'm just not available. I'm not at everybody's beck and call like that. I think that's one of the breakdowns that agents make, is perhaps they have lead gen in their calendar from 9 to noon every day, and then they'll get an inspection that says, the inspector says he's available at 11, and they say, okay, but they're not available at 11. They're booked from 9 to noon. So I just really do honor what I put in my calendar. Once it's in there, I keep it in there, especially if I've given my word to somebody else. And I know that we're in real estate, so everything's live and moving parts at all times. I also make sure that I always keep blocks of time in my calendar every day for emergencies. So I'll have a 1-hour window for the unexpected. So if something does come up, there's that 1-hour window that I really do have set aside for dealing with something that I didn't have in my calendar that day. That's how I do it.
Perfect. Diane, how about you?
Well, time is your friend and your enemy, but if you obviously don't use it right. But so for me, using my time has been always a challenge, but like she was just saying, is you have non-negotiables. So when you put those in your schedule, so I do have those. So what I did was I look at my team and they say, look, Diane, this is your 7 or 8 responsibilities that you have for us. And then I just focus on those and I put them in my schedule first. And I take in the fact that if I'm going to take a day off and play golf, or half a day, that I'm going to play golf. So the best thing I do is I just do what I'm going to do at the hour I said I'm going to do it, and don't worry about anything else. And just look for 1% improvement every day, and measure and then the other thing I do with my time is I measure my results. I measure my time. I have like a time sheet next to me from 6 to 7. I usually work out, I meditate and breathe like she does as well. And then also, I work, I get to work, right? So when I'm working, I just write down, if I made my past client calls, I put it on a worksheet into Google Docs so I can report to my agents and my team, here's what I did today. Because I think it's important as a leader, or even just as a team member or a person to yourself, is that if you don't track your time, so important to track your time. If you just track your time for a week and you see all this times where you just wasted time, you'll start thinking about time better. So looking at time as more your enemy. So that's what I do, is every hour I write down, and sometimes there's blocks. I just forget what I did. So I know that I'm not managing my time properly. And I also got the Calendly scheduler, so that if somebody wants to schedule a time, I said, just go to my calendar. If you don't see a time, it's because I'm not available at that time, that type of thing. So that's how I use my time. It's precious, so use it wisely.
Okay, thanks. David, how about you?
just like Christina and Diane said, it all goes by the calendar. And just most recently, like I used to manually input everything myself, and it came to the point where I just couldn't anymore. I couldn't keep up. So like Dan mentioned, I use Calendly. So whether it's agent attraction calls or it's for a buyer who wants to make a meeting, or even a seller, through my websites, they can access my Calendly link. And the same thing, if you don't see it on there, I'm booked up. But I have to live by the calendar. Just for example, the hours between 7 a.m. and noon, that is my time at the desk, whether I'm making agent attraction calls, doing some marketing, doing meetings such as this. It goes in my calendar. That's the window. I'm not going out to inspections. I'm not showing homes. The afternoons, I'm showing homes. So when I'm doing the inspections, that's when I'll go meet clients. And same thing in the evenings. Evenings are for writing offers, and for meeting clients and doing some showings, and family time as well. It has to go in the calendar. Yes, an emergency sometimes pops up in there, and you have to figure it out. But I find I'm a lot less stressed knowing the day before what my day is going to be looking like. Before I go to bed, I look at my calendar. Okay, do I have an appointment at 7 a.m.? Oh, I don't have anything until 7:30. Perfect. Then I know I've got a bit of an opening at 7 a.m. that I can maybe do something else, plan for the future. You just have to work at it. And I used to do the calendar in my head, and I was fine when I was slow. But when things got busy, the brain just couldn't keep up. So you have to look at the screen and go by that calendar.
Great. Michael, how about you? Mike.
Okay. Well, you're Debbie, you're going to hear a consistency straight through. I think all the icons are coming with, they're saying the same kind of time management systems, a little bit different tweaks, everybody, but it's going to sound very similar. So I'm running everything through my Google Calendar, also with Calendly. If it's not scheduled, it's not. When there's definitely time blocks. So if I have prospecting time with my team blocked in there, usually it's mornings, that's going to be blocked in there, and that gets honored. And that you set it as a busy on your Google Calendar, and no one else can schedule on it. And then agent attraction calls. I do have an assistant, an executive assistant that I work with. She's been with me 2 years now. She has my Calendly access. And so when she's making calls and setting appointments with me, she knows they're booked to the 15 minutes. So literally, I'm on a call, and I think it's really important when you start to get busy enough with these types of calls is that, you get on the call, you clear the time with the person you're speaking with, tell them how much time you have. We have 15 minutes. I want to make the most use of it. If it needs to go over, we'll schedule another one. And you set the context of what you hope to accomplish on that call. So those are, and then we're using it, just like everybody else said, you're guarding your time. As a newer agent, I think I struggled with this because I've only been licensed 4 years. And so coming in when you have a lot of time and there's a lot of white space on your calendar, that's where, I forget who mentioned it first, maybe everybody kind of touched upon it, where you put in, like when I first started, 9 a.m. to like 12 noon was putting on a headset and a triple line dialer and calling expireds, and nothing got in the way of that. And that's why you can list a lot of properties. So being really honoring your own time blocks until you have the appointments when it makes you so busy that now you are kind of forced to that role is really important. So I think it depends on the stage someone's at too. So if you're just starting off listening to us talk about our calendars, you're like, well, I don't have many people to talk to. You will. But before you do, go ahead and start getting into the habit of using that calendar. And then I have a journal also. I just keep a time log, the journal. Someone mentioned that too, right? So just writing down where I am at each point in the day. I can look back at the day and just flip through the pages and see who I spoke to and a few notes. That's by hand. So.
Yeah, I you know what? And again, for everybody that's here, the consistencies, you listen to these icons and myself as well, time blocking is such a huge part of our business and honoring the time, because a lot of times people put things down and then they say, oh, something better came up, I'll go do that. And that's really not how you should run your business or your day. Okay, so I kind of a strange question is, what did you do before you were in real estate, and how, if at all, did that have any effect of you going into real estate? Michael.
Okay, you're still back to me. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I figured I'd start with you again.
Yeah, well, it's a good question. I've essentially a kind of an admitted serial entrepreneur in starting multiple different businesses. I really can't think back to when I was ever on a job on salary. Maybe I'm almost 60. I'm 59. Maybe in my early 20s when I started as a filmmaker. My career early on, doing film, video production, TV commercials, and a few points in there I worked for salary. And that's helped me a great deal in marketing and communications right now, clearly. And video production is a huge part of what we do in our communication. We use video in every format down to one-on-one bombs. Huge. If you're not using them tied into the bomb, one-on-one for every follow-up that for new contact or updates, fantastic. So that's helped me a lot. And then I kind of transitioned into financial services. I was a vice president of Morgan Stanley Smith Barney for about 10 years. Which I managed about $50 million of client money and mostly municipal bonds. That's something that taught me a lot of like responsibility and fiduciary and being able to negotiate and not being afraid of talking about big numbers and, making big choices. It's not a field that I enjoyed at all, but I have 6 kids and you got to make a living. So I was very happy when I sold that practice out and then came into real estate as an investor. Really enjoyed that making the deals, working with buyers, sellers, and then eventually saw the opportunity to build a real estate team. That's what I came in to do just over 4 years ago, kind of pulling it all together, marketing, systems, negotiations, and here we are. So that's been the journey. So very condensed.
That's a great journey. And I learned something new about you, about what you did. And you have 6 children. That's awesome.
Yeah, three of them are licensed and work with the team. So you can make money with your kids. So they could be listening in right now. So they're very valuable parts of the team. My son, Ben, is the marketing whiz. He generates tremendous amount of business for us and other teams around the country. And my oldest son, Rob, is listing and development, and my oldest daughter is transaction management for all 12, 14 agents now. And so that's quite a handful there. So it's been cool.
That's great. And for all you young people out there just starting families, have a lot of kids so that this way they can all go into the business. I have my oldest son is also a realtor. He's my top buyer's agent. And I'll tell you, it really it makes you feel good when your kids can, follow what you're doing and also help create a whole business for themselves.
Yep, absolutely. It's great for revenue share too, because we're all involved with that. It's a family operation, so we're all.
There you go.
Yeah, no place like EXP for a family business. So.
All right, Christine, how about you? What did you do before real estate, and did it any way change the way you do real estate or make you go into real estate?
It did indeed. I, much like Michael, was a serial entrepreneur. I don't think I've had a job since I was 17. I started my first company at 19, but at around 26, I lead courses for a company called Landmark Worldwide. It's called the Landmark Forum. I volunteer for them and I lead courses, and a gentleman said, "You should get into real estate. You should come be a keynote speaker in the real estate industry. You're a great speaker." And so he took me on a trip with him where he was going around 4 or 5 different states speaking to real estate agents about creating systems. And I ended up being a keynote speaker for 10 years in the real estate industry. So I spoke for companies like Top Producer and Realtor.com, and I'd be at the convention, selling coaching or whatever it is they wanted me to speak about that day. So I had a whole world of real estate knowledge before I ever got into selling real estate. And then I guess 2007, well, it was when the crash happened. So 2008, when everything was crashing and burning around us in the real estate industry, that whole keynote speaker game and getting paid bucket loads of money to travel the world and talk about real estate went away. And I decided to jump back in and do real estate sales in 2009. So I had a background of all the knowledge and had never really got to put my money where my mouth is. And that's when I went to KW and started in real estate sales. So
wow,
I had a whole bunch of knowledge before I got in.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. David, how about you? I know you've not been in real estate that long also. So how about you? I think you said you were in law enforcement?
Yeah, originally, first starting out, I was a radio announcer. And I done that for about 7 years and realized I would not be able to raise a family on that type of salary. Had an interest in policing, went into becoming a police officer. I figured that would have been my forever career until I got sick and I was dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder and I was forced to retire. And at that point, I really didn't know what I was going to do. And my realtor actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, why have you ever thought about being a realtor? Join our group or join our brokerage." And I'm like, that sounds interesting. I could still deal with people. I always enjoyed engaging with the public. Again, when I was a radio announcer, plus also when I was a police officer, I deal with the good and the bad. But honestly, moving into real estate, it helped with my my recovery from PTSD. It helped me engage with people again, being able to come up and speak on stage, doing things like this, and just being out there. So, we all end up somewhere for a reason and use our experiences from our past careers into how we can generate business for our current, our current business. And it's amazing, even, when I'm doing the agent attraction calls and I'm speaking with the agents and they're telling me whether they're part-time, they're full-time, and what, they're a nurse, they're a car salesman, they're selling insurance, all those types of things. So you start to realize that people have vast knowledge that they can bring to this business, and we all are able to relate in those ways.
Awesome. Okay, and Diane, I think you're next to answer that question.
Yeah, well, I was born into it. My father was a broker and a custom home developer. So at 5 years old, I was kind of walking people around the sample house because my other sister and brothers wanted to get me to get out of the house because I was the youngest. So, but I never really took to real estate after that. I mean, I actually got my MBA in marketing. I worked for an insurance company, marketing, Prudential. And then I just had an epiphany, I don't want to be sitting behind this desk every day. So much out there for me. So I started actually selling water filters. Did really good at it on the side, and then I just quit my job and I got into real estate because that was something I know I could do with my father's office. So I'd help them develop brochures, and I worked out there a little bit, and then I joined a Century 21 and I became the Rookie of the Year type thing person. And I really, really just got good at calling expired listings right from the bat. I used to start calling expired listings. And I walked into my first listing and I said, oh my God, we have so much to do here. Get rid of that, do that. Like I knew what I was doing. And I realized it's because I was the daughter of a custom home builder. And when you have a sample home, there's no crap on the closets. There's no stuff in the basement. The garages are painted. And so I started going with that theme. Settle like a sample home. So that's where I became, that's how I got into real estate. So now 30 years later, I still do the same thing. I walk into a house, we got to do this, we got to do that, and so it hasn't changed much a bit. So, but before that, so I didn't spend much time in corporate America getting my MBA. I think it was like 7 years, and I got into real estate when I was 33, I think it was. So 32. So now, yeah, that's my age. Now I'm giving away my age.
It's okay. All right, great. Okay, Diane, we'll just start with you and we'll go back the opposite way now for my list. So what do you do for yourself for education? And this is two-part. And what do you do for yourself for education to continue your knowledge in real estate or, marketing or whatever? But who is like your go-to person? I mean, everybody's got a go-to person. Who is yours? And again, what do you do for yourself for education?
Well, my go-to person is Joe Stump. He's a coach for a company called By Referral Only. I joined him in 1994. I'm now one of his 12 disciples, his first inner circle, and he's always keeps us ahead of the curve. So he's my go-to because he's almost like he knows things are going on down the road before they happen, and we can jump on it. Just like seminars. I was doing seminars for years because, he said, this is what, if you want to get, this is your path, so that was my go-to. So for me, as far as education. I do a lot of the Audible books, but I think that, coming to some of the listening to the icons and a topic that I need to listen to. But in YouTube, I listen to a lot of the YouTube videos of Mike Sherrard. He's one of the guys who does a lot of EXP recruiting, but he's got a fantastic social media training program that I just love. He's really good at it, and he's very humble in his advice. And I've been doing other things, of course, meditation and breathing and things like that. But I just know that coming to the table with a sound mind and taking care of myself first. I think a lot of people in real estate, they don't do that. Self-love first, give yourself a massage, get to the chiropractor, eat right, show up good so you can do that for your client. So that's my coaching every day is just, what's the question of the day, just.
And how long, for how long did you start coaching with Joe?
1994, so 1 year after I started in the business. I started in 1993.
Awesome.
And so 1 year after. And so that's kind of, I guess, ingrained in my head to build by referral from the start. It's always good to start from the start.
That's okay. David, how about you? Who's your go-to person and what do you do for yourself for education?
Well, yeah, that's good. The first 4 years of my career, I wasn't doing, I guess I wasn't self-educating myself. I was just, relicensing every year, doing the job, treating it as a job, and production didn't work. And it wasn't until 2019 I started to realize I said, I need to do something different, especially my market. Everybody was doing the same thing. And I ended up, I'd read Ryan Serhant's book, Sell It Like Serhant. I'd seen him on TV. The book kind of opened eyes for me. And I joined that training program, and that's when things started to take off. And I would honestly say that's kind of what led me towards the EXP model. Who do I rely on for the most now? Honestly, it's my sponsors.
Okay.
I have essentially two. There's the main one and then the second one, but we chat every week. And in our organization, we have several meetings throughout the week. You can join in if you want. And we're always helping each other out, whether it's up here in Canada or other members of our organization that are in the US. It's just kind of growing. How can we make ourselves better? Whether it's for buyer leads, seller leads, how to sell through social media, and even the agent attraction. Our organization even generated a real estate program or training program that people can join on if they want as well. So it's the part about always trying to grow and increase your knowledge, and then even going to these EXP events and meeting other agents, and like my counterparts here on the stage, never met them in person, but you start to understand how they're running their business and how can I make that into mine, and it kind of opens your mind. How can you take pieces out of what everybody else is doing and make it my own?
Wonderful. Okay, we're running out of time, but I do want to hear quickly from Christina and then from Mike, and then Brian's going to come back on. Go ahead, Christina. Tell me, who's your go-to person and what do you do for education?
Very good. I'll be super quick so everybody gets a chance to share. But I am a huge Audible. I listen to all the books from, Fanatic Prospecting to Gary Keller's to, just all of them. I mentioned Morning Miracle, but I listen to a lot of books. I've always got a book on my phone when I'm driving. I also have a coach, and I've had many, many, many different coaches. I think it's invaluable to have a coach, and I don't care really who it is. You pick the one that you feel like fits best with you, but somebody to be accountable to and somebody who really bounce ideas off. So I have a coach named Kelly. I've been working with her for 3 years. She's not even a real estate coach. She's an entrepreneur coach. Mm-hmm. And I love her, love her, love her, love her. So
wonderful. And Mike, how about you?
Awesome. So I think a quick answer, will have different go-to people depending on what area we're focusing on. So like everybody else here, you're seeing the consistency, same thing we asked about the calendar and the schedules. Audible all the time, podcasts all the time. And that's I'm in the gym, in the car, I'm driving. It's kind of like the immersion learning method. That's how I learned how to get where I've gotten so far, and that's how I do it now. coaching, absolutely. As agent attraction, like Dave mentioned, has become essentially my primary focus of time right now. I'm heavily involved with that, and now I'll be in Cabo the end of this month. And I as a one-on-one coach, it's Simone Rousseau out of Canada. I've been coaching with her one-on-one. Hired her. She's revolutionized me in just a short amount of time to pack my schedule with appointments, and you just got to have someone that you can be accountable to, and pick which way to go. And the kind of the outside person is someone like Chris Voss. Never Split the Difference for negotiations. Phenomenal book. It's required reading or join my team, because that's kind of the approach that we take in all of our interactions with the outside world. So that would be like kind of my outside person, I suppose. Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. So
wonderful. So we're just about it. Did somebody want to say something? Oh, okay. I thought I heard somebody talking. Maybe it was just feedback. Listen, this has been amazing. Thank you all so much for being here and sharing with, everybody that's here, whether they're another icon or there's somebody striving to be an icon. I know for myself, when I first joined EXP, it was like, whoa, what a phenomenal opportunity this is to become an icon. And the one thing that you hear consistently, with every icon that comes up here, they talked about their database, they talked about their time blocking, and I know we didn't spend a lot of time, but events that they have and their coaching. And I will tell you just personally that in my life, what changed my business career and my family life was getting a real estate coach early on in my business. So all of you, there's all different types of coaching out there. There's group coaching, there's one-on-one. And, I think as Diane said, it doesn't even have to be a real estate coach. It could be a business coach. It could be a life coach, but somebody to help you, somebody that you have a go-to. I don't know. Brian, are you here? Are you going to take over? Should I ask if there's does anybody have any questions? I didn't really see any come up in the chat.
None came up, Debbie, but you know what? Thank you for handing it back over to me, because you know what? I have something for everybody in the audience right now.
Oh.
It is a survey. There you go. Click that link. I want to thank our icons. So this has been one of my favorite shows. Debbie, you are phenomenal. All of you on the panel, you're all really phenomenal and inspiring, and I hope everyone in the audience out there today took something away from this. I want you to know something, everybody out there, that we're all working toward a greater goal. And I want you to all work to get more people in here on Fridays, because this is a wealth of information that we can put to use as soon as we leave. I want to thank you all for coming today. You guys on the stage, you're great. You're just absolutely inspiring. I mean, Debbie, when you started this, you're like, I was a teacher and I couldn't say the names. And I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm like, you know what? You certainly are a teacher. So thank you so much. Diane, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. David, everybody, Christine, you guys are so amazing. Michael, I just want to thank you so much. All of you have a good day. Fill out that form. And if you can't click the link, there's these little signs up on the sides of the stage that you can use with your phone. Just take it out of portrait mode, because it won't work in that if you're using iPhone. And click that and fill in the form. And we'll see you next week.